using custom data types. When specifying custom data types, we can put them in the header directive if we'd like. The name of the custom data type has to be in all lowercase letters, and you cannot contain any special characters. The header in the top, as you can see in this example, specifies a custom type called OurDateFormat, in which it is equal to the date time with a format of YYYY, MMDDHHMM. And then inside of our body here, we can see the ability to grab payload.departureDate and coerce that as our date format rather than having to push that out multiple times, specifying date time with the format. Now, very commonly as well, you can also use as object. What this means is you could specify inline by saying the customer key has a value of payload.user as, and then coerce that to an object where you specify the class of that object after the fact. And assuming there are available setters for it to access, it should be able to instantiate that object and fill user with the data from payload.user. Once again, you can also define that custom data type inside of the header. So you can say %type user, and then you can have that equal the object mycompany.user, and then use it in a much more simplified version in the body where you've got customer with the value of payload.user as a user. Let's try putting in some custom data types of our own. Walkthrough 10.7, define and use custom data types. We will define and use our own custom data type, and we'll also transform objects to POJOs in the process. Let's get started. Back inside of our project, within implementation XML, we'll make sure we're in the transform message inside of post multiple flights flow. Try to drag this out a little bit more to make it a bit easier to read. There we go. Move this over a bit as well. Okay. So now we're going to make some modifications. Let's start by selecting and cutting the string formatting expression for prices. So for price inside of here, we'll grab all of this and we will cut that out. In the header section of the transform section, let's define a custom data type called currency. So underneath namespaces here, we will specify a type, and this type will be called currency, in which the value will equal the string format for price. So I'm going to keep the string format here in place, and we're actually going to cut this chunk out one more time. So cut that. Get that comma out of the way as well. Okay, so now we've got type currency, and we're specifying the string format inside of here. Now if we go back and just put price back from what we've cut, at the end of as here, we will say number and then specify as currency inside and place our comma back to where it first started. So what you can see here is we've effectively chunked this up such that we've specified currency in the header, also making it reusable. And now that it's in the header, we can specify in price simply as currency rather than printing this long line out in multiple places. We can see how our output is effectively the same as it was before. Now, what if we want to transform our objects into Java objects? Very common if you've written a Java class or you have some type of internal structure in Java that you'd like to transform into. So let's start off by opening up source main Java, the com.mulesoft.training package, and we'll double click on flight.java. Inside of flight.java, you can see a bunch of fields inside of here. Most importantly for us, these fields have getters and setters, and this is what we're going to need to have access to the various fields that we'll be mapping into. We'll go back to the implementation XML inside of here, switch my view back so it's easier to see with the preview in place as well. Okay, and let's make a modification where we now have a type at the very top. So we'll specify a new type, and this type is going to be called flight, in which the value is going to be an object, and we'll specify the class as well, which is going to be com.mulesoft.training.flight. And check your spelling and capitalization here, make sure that everything looks good, but it should be able to now coerce things into the specific object of flights. All right, now with this in place, let's see if we can make a bit of a modification. At the very end of our data weave expression, after the filter, let's see if we can then coerce this all, the final structure, into a flight object. All right, now that we've asked for flight, we do have a bit of an error in place. Let's start by changing the name of the destination key to destination. Because if we look closely inside of here, again, it's not able to find, or actually, excuse me, I was missing a letter there. It's got flights inside of here. So we'll go back to dest up here and we'll say destination. Make sure it's spelled properly. All right. And with destination in place inside of here, we'll have to change our other keys to ensure they match what's inside of the flight class properties. This way it knows what to map to. So our plane is going to become plane type. Our date is going to become departure date. Our seats will also become available seats. Okay. So now we've got some updated fields for plane type, departure date, and available seats. And now we'll change the operators to use the new property names as well. This means down inside of our bottom area here, instead of doing .seats, we're now going to be calling out to available seats. Instead of .date, we will be doing departure date. Now, if you are still getting an error in here such as this, the structure of some of these pieces may be a bit off. So we can go ahead and cut that out for now. And if you have some extra time, feel free to play around more with these filters and these criteria. Inside of here, the main thing that I wanted to get in is that we can specify the structure in place. And again, we can say as flights and see all of the different structures inside of here for the array it builds of our custom flight objects. Once again, if you want to come back inside of here and coerce these all to flights and then do something along the lines of distinct by, and once again specify a distinct item, such as in this case, I'll change it up a bit and say distinct by destination, you can do something like that such that I only get one flight per destination. So SFO, LAX, PDX, and so on. So feel free to play a little bit more around with those different operators and such as you'd like. For now, I'll keep it just as flights so I can see all of my different flight objects returning inside of here. And that's how easy it is to take this structure and map it into a custom type, such as a POJO.